An advanced care directive is also known as an advance directive or a living will. Essentially, it's a document that you fill out when you're competent now that deals with your health and personal care in the future, should the time ever come when you're not able to make decisions for yourself. Just like a will is a document that deals with the disposal of your personal property after you're dead, an advanced care directive deals with how you'd want to be treated, your health care, your personal care, where you'd want to live, if the time ever comes when you're not able to make decisions for yourself. So you make decisions now when you're capable and you know what you want to say what you would want in the future if the time comes when. It can deal with anything you want it to deal with. It can deal with your health care. It can deal with your personal care, where you'd want to live. It can deal with cremation after death. It can deal with organ donation. Anything. It can be very, very flexible. Where you'd want to live, if you never want to live in a nursing home, that you'd want to live at home. There's a whole variety of things that you can deal with. There are two types of advance directives, having said that. One is a proxy directive. That's also known as a power of attorney for health and personal care. That's where you name somebody else. So you say, if the time ever comes when I'm unable to make decisions for myself, I want A or B to make decisions for me. So you nominate that person to make decisions for you in the future. You can name 1, 2, as many people as you want. And that's a different thing to a power of attorney for finances or property. So for example, I could make, if I had 2 children, say I had a daughter who was a nurse and a son who was an accountant or whatever, vice versa. I might name my daughter as my power of attorney for my health and personal care. And I might name my son as my power of attorney for finances and property. Or I could name both. So you can divide it up. And the other issue with an advanced care directive is that you can actually give instructions. And that one is called the living will format. That's where you say, if the time comes when I can't make decisions for myself, then, and I was living in a nursing home and I had Alzheimer's disease and others had to wash and dress and feed me and I couldn't recognise my family, at that time, if my heart stopped, let me go, don't try and resuscitate me. If I got pneumonia or a life-threatening illness like a bleeding ulcer, I would want comfort measures only. I wouldn't want any attempt made to prolong my life. I want to die naturally. Or if I couldn't swallow, I wouldn't want to be tube fed. I wouldn't want anything done to extend my life. So essentially, that's what an advanced care directive is. It's a document that you fill out when you're capable to cover a time of incapacity. You can have 2 types. You can have one where you name somebody to make decisions for you, or you can actually give instructions. Ideally, you want both. Ideally, you want to have an idea of what you want and then sit down with your proxy and tell your proxy what you want. So when the time comes, the proxy can say, oh, I discussed this with him. I know what he wants. This is what we should do. You'd never want to do an advanced care directive and name a proxy and not discuss your wishes with the proxy, because then when the time comes, the proxy wouldn't know what you want and the proxy would be in a terrible predicament. So that's what an advanced care directive is. They're very simple. You don't have to fill them out. There's nobody forcing you to do it. The huge advantage of them is that you get what you want and you can extend your autonomy to a time when previously you would have lost the ability to control your life. So, for example, if you didn't do an advanced care directive and you developed something like Alzheimer's or got a very severe stroke where you couldn't communicate, or you got cancer that went to your brain, or you got a severe head injury and you're unable to make decisions, then others will make decisions for you and you would lose control over that part of your life. What the advanced directive does is it extends the ability of you to control your life even if you become incapable. Secondly, it takes your family off the hook. The trouble is that if you don't have one and nobody knows what you want, and if you become ill, then one child can say they want this done and another child can say they want that done, and arguments over care of a parent can actually divide families and leave lasting bitterness and regrets and guilt. And then if children have to make a decision, say, where they say, oh, do everything to keep my mum alive, and The doctors do everything and transfer the person to intensive care and tubes and needles and everything. And the person dies after 6 or 8 weeks of it. The child looks back and think, my God, I gave my mother a terrible death. That was horrible. She had no quality of life. I kept her going in the intensive care in the hospital long after. I should have done it. I should have let her go. And then the child feels guilty. But that child is making the decision with its heart, not its head. And then if the child says, well, let mum go, and then they hear later that there was a miracle cure or something, they feel, oh, we should have done more, we should have kept it going. So leaving these decisions for your children really is not right, because it can really mess up a child. And it's not something that we'd want to do to our children. It's our decision. It's our life. We really should take responsibility for it. That's what an advanced directive does. And the other thing it does is it takes healthcare professionals off the hook. Because if you don't have an advanced care directive and you end up in the emergency department, then invariably healthcare professionals will do everything to keep you going, because that's their mandate. And healthcare professionals, we often give treatment to people that we know they would have wanted. And we feel terrible because we're extending somebody's life, but the quality of their life is desperate. So if you don't tell people, there's all kinds of different impressions and different children fighting and healthcare professionals trying to make decisions. And to be honest with you, it can be a mess sometimes. So advanced care directives are really good things to do because you keep control and you take everybody else off the hook. And they're just great things. My advanced care directive is very simple. Right now, if I got sick, if I got a life-threatening illness, say for example I got a really vicious viral pneumonia that really went to my chest and I got a very bad bacterial pneumonia on top of it, or I got some acute illness like bleeding or something that could kill me, but I couldn't make a complete recovery from it. And say I required intensive care with the breathing machine and I couldn't swallow and needed to be tube fed for temporary measures, I would want everything done. I'd want intensive care. If my heart stopped, try to get me going again. If I couldn't swallow and it was a temporary measure, tube feed me. Do everything if I can make a complete recovery and I'm not left with a lasting disability. So I would say, right now if I got sick, I could make a complete recovery, do everything. But if the time came, say God forbid I'm on the way home tonight and somebody crashes into me, or I lose control of my car, hit a tree and I have severe brain damage, and I'm in a vegetative state, I'm lying in a coma, I've got a big blood clot where my brain used to be, and there's no hope of recovery. I'm going to spend the rest of my life in a coma, unable to communicate, unable to swallow, unable to move or communicate. At that point, if my heart stops, thank you, let me go. If I get pneumonia, don't give me antibiotics and don't tube feed me. So if I got severe Alzheimer's disease, and I was so confused that others had to wash or dress or feed me, or for any reason, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, head injury, stroke. And I was at the point where I was so confused that I had to live in a nursing home and others had to wash and dress and feed me every day. At that point, I would say, I'm not saying kill me. I'm saying, let me go. No antibiotics, no blood tests, no tube, and if my heart stops, let me go. So you're making decisions for different qualities of life. And you get to describe what quality of life or what level of disability you'd accept. I would accept this disability, but I wouldn't accept this disability. If I had this problem, do everything. If I have this problem, just keep me comfortable. And that's a huge advantage with advanced directives, because you can structure to say whatever you want, depending on your own personal values.